Hello and welcome to Peacock Ridge Farm. I am so glad that you're here. Today I am going to show you how to reupholster a bed. Quick and easy. Come on, I'll show you how. I am so excited to get this project started. I've been wanting to do it for quite a while now, and I lay awake at night just dreaming about it. So today's the day. The first thing that I need to do is to trace out the headboard. So I have some craft paper that I'm going to take to the wall and trace this out. And now I'm just going to trace it. And now I'll measure from the top of the headboard down to the bottom. I have my template. I found my center mark and folded it in half. Now I am going to measure out an inch above my line all the way around. This will allow me room for a seam allowance. And now I just cut out my template. I'm keeping it folded in half to make sure that both sides are perfectly even. I'm going to measure out my length of the fabric that I need from the top of my headboard down to the bottom, and I'm going to add an extra 3 inches so that I have a seam allowance at the top and I have enough to tuck under at the bottom. I am going to find the center of this fabric and I'm going to mark it with my pen. Now I am going to lay my template over the top so that I have my template perfectly centered on this fabric. And now I'm just going to pin it in place. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue to pin this pattern down. You'll notice that my template is wider than my fabric. My headboard is a king-size headboard, and with the pattern on this fabric, I need to add to the sides. So I'm going to cut 2 extra pieces to sew onto the sides. Now that I have attached a piece of fabric to both ends of my main fabric, I now have enough span for my template. So I pin on my template. I'm going to add an extra inch to the sides. And now I get to cut it out. My headboard is 2 inches thick, so I am going to cut some bands of fabric that are about 2.5 inches wide, and I will sew them to the edges and the top of my piece of main fabric. Now that I have my strips cut, I have sewn them together and pressed them, and now I'm just attaching them to my main piece of fabric. As you can see that I sewed my lining to my 2-inch strip, but I left the sides open. So now I will place it where I want it. I'll attach it to the back with a staple gun, and then I will come back through with the lining and finish it off. But first, I have to make sure that it is in the right spot. So I am going to start right in the center and work my way out. Now that I have it centered exactly where I want it to be, and make sure all of my pins are out, I'm going to pull it towards the back and staple it. I have raised my headboard up a little bit higher so that I can fit my nail gun under it. And now I just pull the fabric from the front, I pull it under and staple. And I do this starting in the middle and going all the way to the edge. As you can see, that right side is really looking great. So I'm just going to continue to pull and staple on that left side. For the corners, I just go ahead and tuck it all the way in. And now I'll just staple them all the way down. I just fold my lining fabric under, pull it tight, and I'll staple all the way down close. Now that I have all of my seams turned under, sewn, and pressed, I'm now going to add a pleat. The length of my foot of my bed is 81 inches, so I'm going to find the halfway mark on my fabric. And I'm going to mark it, and then mark that same measurement on the other side. I find the true halfway mark of the entire length of my fabric, and then I fold in to the place where I have marked my fabric for the halfway point of the bedding. And now I have the starting of my first pleat. I'm going to mark it on all four corners and press it in. Again, ironing at every step will give it a very nice, crisp finish, and it'll look more professional. And now I'm just going to repeat that step on the other side. For each of the corners, I created a flap, folding down and sewing a seam, and then I stapled it around the bed. I cut it long enough on both sides so that if the flaps move, you can't see the old bedding. And this just really cleans it up. When attaching my next piece, I make sure that it's all the way to the edge, barely touching the ground, and then I create a 45-degree angle at the corner so that the corner looks nice. And I just staple it in. And all the way down, I make sure that it's just barely touching. And continue stapling, and it's just that easy. And as you can see, my pleat looks fantastic. Doesn't this look amazing? I am absolutely thrilled at how it turned out. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I always enjoy our time together. Please follow me on Facebook.com/Peacock Ridge Farm, on Instagram at Peacock Ridge, on Pinterest and YouTube. And most of all, please follow me at peacockridgefarm.com. Blessings to you.